You are listening to BA Chats. We're super happy about that. Thank you for joining us. I am Rachel Kuntz, your host.
And I am Kevin Kuntz, your other host. Host. Aren't you a hostess?
I get to pick. It's 2020. I'm a host.
No.
Yes, I want to be a host. Introduce yourself.
Well-
you be whatever you pick.
Okay, I am going to be a host because I cannot be a hostess. Thank you very much.
VA Chats exist because we believe in the testimony. The word testimony actually means do it again, God. And testimonies in the Christian life are truly one of our primary ways of growth, our primary vehicles of growth. So it is super appropriate that you hear what the Lord is doing in our guests' lives, in our lives, and that your heart leaps and you go, whoa, what kind of God does that in people's lives? And do it again, God. Very appropriate. And so we hope to share the testimonies and have that response from all of us.
Honestly, it's amazing. So, and then the other reason that we exist, the other reason we have BA Chats is that when we look in our community, we look in the culture that we have at Bethel, there are just absolute like diamonds, not even diamonds in the rough. They're just diamonds and rubies and sapphires and onyx and gold that are people that represent the people that are in our body. And we get the privilege and the honor to actually introduce those people to you. And so that is the other reason why we have BA Chats. And so tonight, as you know, unlike it's not like any other, just like every other time, we have another piece of gold for you tonight. So
yes, we
very
do.
excited about it.
Welcome Stephanie Mattox to the studio. Hi, Steph.
Hey, woo! Can you hear the crowd?
Stephanie.
You get used to that.
Yeah.
Thanks. I really.
You go right ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. A little nervous, but I'm great.
Oh, you don't look nervous, girl. You look just like yourself.
Appreciate that.
So true.
Well, tell us a little bit about you. Introduce yourself to our listening audience. What are you doing here at Bethel, Atlanta?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I've been a part of Bethel for 9 years or so.
Wow.
I go back
9
to
years?
ABC building.
Wow.
One of the originals.
Okay, Steph, I feel super silly that I didn't realize it'd been 9 years.
2011. Yeah. Oh, 8.5.
Wowza.
Wow.
So-
Because we didn't meet you till what? Like
Probably way later, probably during school.
first year
Yeah.
of ASSAM.
Probably so, yeah.
Whoa. How does that even happen?
I was always on the right side. I know sometimes you get...
You pick your
we
side.
found
You pick your
left.
side. So there you go. There you go. I still feel like I introduce myself sometimes to people that I'm like, "Are you new?" And they're like, "No, I've been going here for 3 years." I'm sorry.
How does that happen?
Happy to meet you. You must be on the other side.
Yep.
None the two should cross. But yeah, so I've been coming for a while. Been a part of Bethel for a while, and was just a part of the church for a long while. Did Bethel Life and just doing life. I was always a part of a small group up in the north side, so I helped to co-lead a small group up there for a couple of years, and then in I think 2015-ish. I felt like the Lord had told me to, or gave me the invitation to go to school, go to BSSM. And frankly, I did not want to at all. There was zero bit of me that wanted to.
Zero bit of me.
I was like, I've done this. I've been a part of the church for a while. You know, Bethel Life. I've read half these books already. I feel like I got this culture. I get it. I don't need to do that. And but I was like, okay, I'll think about it. And I just kind of felt like the Lord continued just to give me the invitation. And so finally, I just like, all right, if this is something that you would this is something you're inviting me into, then I really help me shift my heart. And I just didn't like commitment, and it's just more stuff to do, add to my plate. And I just felt
you're
like
a professional gal.
I am.
What do you do?
I am a nurse practitioner.
Okay, so that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a full-time job.
It's
So,
a full-time job.
And you're on the north side
and
too,
I am
right?
on the north side, yeah.
Wowza.
For as long as I've been a part. I've always lived in the Vining, Smyrna area.
Okay.
So the drive alone,
The drive alone,
it
right.
makes sense.
Absolutely. So just the commitment and all of that, and there was a part of me that was a little scared. To be honest, I think I was a little scared of just. I was like, I like being able to put my toe in the water when I want to, and just kind of the idea of like jumping in the deep end. Scared the heck out of me. So But
In what way? Like in the culture? Because you felt like you had the culture, but you felt like this would be submersion? Or?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. And also, I choose when I want to challenge myself and give a prophetic word. I choose when I. It's just working through my own process and my own fear. I think of that's. I don't want to be one of those crazy people over there. Like, I have my, image to uphold and, reputation and yeah. So, but it was interesting. It was really cool. And the Lord was so sweet. And it was one of those just invitations for me to do school at. And I came to the point where I was like, all right, if this is something that you'd have for me to do, then help me. I want to change my heart, because I'm going to do this. I want to do it wholeheartedly. And it was amazing. Just by the end of that summer, by the time I applied, like I wholeheartedly I was totally in it, looking forward to it. Couldn't wait. And
how did he confirm that? Was that with words? Was this all
just a heart shift? It was totally a heart shift.
Awesome.
If I just get, I think, allowed myself to maybe have a yes kind of thing, and rather than just like, oh no, put a wall up. I just gave myself a little bit of space to say, okay, like if this is something, I know it's going to be good, and I know you'll. I just know it'll be amazing, and you'll just prepare all the stuff that the hindrances that I think is going to be challenging, and saying, Monday and Tuesday, committing yourself for Mondays and Tuesday nights and Sundays and outreach and all this other stuff. Like, if I'm saying yes to this, and I have to say no to other stuff, and I think I was the fear of missing out and fear of saying no to some other good stuff in my life and good fun things, and but it was interesting just giving the Lord space to, I think, make that adjustment. He totally did. And so by the time
did
I started,
you want your
good.
whole heart in it, though? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a wholehearted person usually?
Yeah, if I'm going to do something, I don't make quick decisions. I don't make. I usually don't make emotional decisions. It's something that I have to take some time, think about it, and when I say yes, it's 100%. I'm all in. Count the cost. We're doing this. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so he shifted your heart. You came to school.
So
what
I did
was
school.
that first year like?
Oh man, jumping in the deep end. Yeah, it was a full submersion. I thought I was comfortable with all this. It was just breaking a lot of boxes, breaking a lot of boxes that I thought I didn't have. A lot of identity stuff that I realized I didn't fully know. I knew that I knew it in my head. It hadn't fully kind of made a heart shift.
Yeah.
I wasn't living out of that, or wasn't thinking out of that. I wasn't doing life out of that. Being challenged in terms of just taking opportunities to prophesy and believe for healing. And I had to overcome in the past, a really traumatic process in terms of healing with a friend that I was walking through with life, and she had liver cancer and passed away from that while we were believing for a miracle and believing for healing.
So sorry.
And so it was a little bit also of that process of continued healing in that had been a couple of years, and fully knowing that God is a healer, and knowing that God, like, that's the kingdom, that's perfect. It's perfect truth. Like, but at the same time, this is my reality. This is my experience. And how do I navigate that? And how do I learn how to trust you in this again? And so having some, just Lord doing some work over time, and having conversations with people, and having, just being challenged, I think, to kind of continue to, like, okay, like, there's no way to kind of press through that other than to press through that.
Yeah.
And opening yourself up for opportunities to pray for people and say, okay, I don't really know where I'm at with this, but I'm going to actually take a step of faith, and, like, whether I feel like my heart's completely in this and my faith is completely in this, it's just, I'm going to go for it, and just kind of continue to press into that, because this is something that I feel like I'm supposed to walk in and operate in. And
Okay, what was that like? Was that just encounter to encounter, word to word, or question to question?
Yeah, I think it was just a step by step, and I think the Lord did some healing just layer by layer. I remember a couple of nights of just not even understanding what was going on in me, but sobbing, and just in that process of, like, oh, this is so scary. This is, like, I don't want to trust you with this. I don't want to do this again. And the Lord's just in His goodness and giving. There's no. He's so kind in the way that He allows us to grow, and He gives us space, and He gives us time, and He allows us to process. And there's no, well, you should have been over this by now. You should have gotten this by now. But just this loving process of allowing me to grow and allowing me to like test the waters in that.
Wow.
And then just being available for, opportunities to do that. And okay, I don't really want to do this right now, but I will try. And just giving myself an opportunity to kind of walk over to explore that new territory again.
Did you see some healing miracles that year?
I have. I remember standing in the prayer line one time, and this girl, not that I haven't experienced tons of miracles through that I've prayed for, honestly. I hear the testimony. I remember standing in line praying for somebody, and right next to me, a girl was praying for someone, and they saw her ears opened, who was either completely deaf or extremely deaf, and literally started hearing. It was it was the most amazing thing ever. So as for seeing healing myself, I think that's something I'm continuing to kind of go after.
That's great.
Yeah.
Would you say you got your breakthrough that first year?
I do. I think between first and second year, I think the heart shift, learning how to trust God in that that was the breakthrough.
Awesome.
Yeah. The fruit of that is just I get to explore the rest of my life. But not being scared of that was the breakthrough.
There was healing.
Yeah.
Wow. Steph, did you know that that's what was happening immediately? Or is this looking back that you're like, whoa, you healed my heart in first year?
Yeah, I think I knew some of it at the time, but I think you see more of the fruit as you kind of continue to go through life, and you see, that doesn't hit me the same way as it used to.
Totally.
That doesn't scare me the same way as it used to. It's still, I'm still not the first one to like, let me pray for somebody, let's do it. But at the same time, I'm like, let's do this. This is what we're doing right now, and fully feel like I can step up to the plate and like, let's go after this, and feel like my heart's completely on board with that.
Yeah. So this was your first year. So you did first, second, and third, and so are you currently serving in like a staff role right now?
Yes. So
Awesome.
I did first, second, and third. Funny.
Pretty impressive for a gal that didn't even want to come.
So funny story. So I'm sitting. This is first year. I'm sitting at PCB. So like 3 weeks in, sitting at in the cafeteria eating a meal, and a third year
Those
student.
blessed meals. Bless
Wonderful.
them, Lord.
Fried chicken, fried bread, fried potatoes, fried. PCB.
Oh yes, they're wonderful. The Lord blesses. So we sitting in the cafeteria eating a meal and just making small talk with this person in front of me. She's in third year, and she's like, I feel like I see you doing all 3 years. And my first thought, God's honest truth, is get behind me, Satan. Like, there's no way.
God's honest.
Nope, not me. Nope. You're lucky I'm here. This is strictly obedience right now.
I thought this was a school with a prophetic acumen. Maybe not.
Don't take that word right there.
Yeah.
So it was funny when I went back up to her. I think when I was starting third year, and I was like, that you probably don't remember this. Sure you don't, but you gave me a word that I was going to do all 3 years, and here I am starting third year. So yes. So I ended up going through first and second and third year, and then so my first year my third year was Dan's first year being the third year director.
Yeah.
This is Dan Weber.
Dan Weber, the amazing guy. So he, and then he invited me to stay on as staff the following year and then this year. So this is my second year of being on staff with third year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you did 3 years and now have done 2 years on staff.
Yeah. So now I've been around for 5 years. Yep. One
Not the
turned
way,
into 5
Steph.
somehow.
What's it like being on staff?
Oh, it's great. So I think I initially, this is just probably my MO at this point. Initially I was going to say no. I
like this. You count the cost. You're not kidding.
I was 90% sure he invited me to do that and to come on, and I was 90% sure I was going to say no. Because there was other things. I felt like I was leaving third year with exactly what I came for, what he was trying to instill in us.
Yeah.
In terms of going and doing the stuff, like going and living life and taking the kingdom into just everyday life. And that's just what all of third year is, literally this preparation to launch you. And I was feeling that. I was feeling momentum. I had some ideas for some things that I wanted to start doing. And I was just feeling wind on it. And I was like, yes, this is what we were supposed to do. And so him saying that, would you want to stay on for 30 years and be on staff? And I was like, I just didn't see how I could do both of those things. And so I was just like, no, it's a great opportunity, but I just think this is what I feel like the Lord's calling me to do. And I had a conversation with a classmate who was also invited to stay on for staff. And I don't know, she had a conversation with Dan that maybe just I had some better understanding of what he was inviting us, like, because you feel that momentum, because you feel like that thing that you got what you came for, and going and doing this stuff. Like, that's actually what I want. That's why I want you to be on staff, because that's what we want to impart in our students.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
and
great.
so all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's not either or. I actually
yes
can do, it's yes and I can do, because I can do both. I can still pursue the stuff, and it might look different just from a time standpoint and commitments and things like that, but I can still be free to go do those things. And so I was like, oh, absolutely. And the second thing that was absolutely drawing from me in terms of staying on for staff is the family that we had created with our group, or the several people that were staying on as staff, and then our leaders at the time. There was something that I realized that was coming alive in me on Mondays and Tuesdays, that an authenticity that, like, the deepest part of me that was coming out, that I hadn't quite figured out how to come out Wednesday through Sunday.
Wow.
And there was just a family aspect to what we were doing that I didn't have, and I had never seen that before. And but I was loving this person who I was on Mondays and Tuesdays. And it wasn't that I was a different person on, Wednesday through Sunday, but it was just the deepest part of me was showing up, the most authentic part of me, and being seen and being known. And it was, I've got to figure out how to make this happen,
For the rest,
7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
I think it just takes more time. Like, it's just continuing to allow, these people are drawing something out of me that I didn't know needed to be drawn out, that I didn't know was hidden deep in there. And so wanting some more, just, okay, this is what my family's doing. This is what's going to be the most amazing thing for me. And then, of course, wanting to pour into people and lead people in the process that I feel like I had been in. So being a part of that process.
So where are you on that journey of the Monday and Tuesday being your best self, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Has that increased over these last 2 years?
It definitely has.
Wow.
Yeah, it definitely has. I think we say that phrase, you find your family, find your destiny. Like, your family is found in your destiny. Sorry, your destiny is found in your family.
Gotcha.
And I mean, it's been the whole process of, finding things in me that I didn't know was hidden. And sometimes it's just a matter of having opportunities to lead, or have opportunities to pour into people, that you start pulling off these pieces, these nuggets that you had in you that you didn't know were there.
Can you give us an example?
Oh man. Just probably, it's funny. I was leading, so one of the things that I do as a revival group pastor is we lead small groups. And one of the books we do is Keep Your Love On. And so we were talking through some of the chapters, and if you've ever read that book, it's one of those books that you should just read every single year of my life.
Yeah,
I just need to every year do a refresher, because there's always something new that I'm getting out of it. And
It's almost like a manual.
it is. It's
and
just,
you keep
if
it.
you want to do life well, you should read this book every year.
Totally.
And
Agree.
because there's always something new. And so we were processing through a few things and just leading conversation. And holidays have a way of bringing up stuff, and just our own processes and family. And it was really interesting. I found myself, just imparting some stuff of communication and ways of boundaries and things like that definitely have gotten so much better at. And because it's like having those things of being able to communicate better, and being able to not being afraid of conflict, and not being afraid of really authentic and honest conversation, actually allows us to have actual relationship with people. and being able to, I was just giving some examples of just some stuff in my life and conversations that I had had just recently. And, I'm still in the journey of doing this and walking it out. And, but it was funny. I found myself like saying things. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's good. I should remember that. I should. And the funniest thing was then we started talking about Dan was going over some of the book during class time later that evening, and literally was saying the same thing that I said. I was like, yes, score, got it. And not being able to parrot it, but just at the same time, and like in the moment, I was like, oh yeah, you're in the. I was sharing with somebody like they're in the process. And just being able to see that from the outside and say, "Oh man, you're doing great. You feel like you're drowning right now, and you're doing so great. Like you're because you're actually willing and courageous enough to say, knock on this door and knock on that door, and kind of start opening up some of the closets, so to speak. And you're gonna get so much breakthrough. Yeah. And it's hard. It feels messy right now, but you're doing amazing."
So what is that? So is this hope that was pulled out of you, vision that was pulled out of you, courage that was pulled out of you, those nuggets, the things that are coming to the surface? Can you give it an adjective? It might be all of them.
I think all of those. I think one thing courage is one thing that I think I'm able to hopefully give on a regular basis. That's one of those. It's recently I was talking to somebody who was starting a business, and I was like, oh yeah, like you're doing great. Like just like I think I asked the question. I was like, do you believe you can do this? Like they were just kind of process. Things were hard and things like that. And I was like, because you can totally do this. Like if you believe you can do it, just do it. Like just do it.
Is this faith?
I think it's faith and just courageous to like, I don't know what's out there. I might sink, I might swim, but if you don't ever jump off the dock and just try, you never know. And
this was in you, but has been pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Steph, that's good.
It's beautiful.
That's so good.
So you mentioned that at the end of your third year, you had some ideas and things that you knew that you wanted to pursue and do, and then you had this invitation. You're like, oh, I'm going to head back and lead third year. So talk to us a little bit about maybe what that vision looks like. Is it what if you want to talk about it, what it is, and then two, is it different than when the way you first started thinking about it?
Like, has it changed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It very much has. So I had this really random idea of wanting to start a business. And I mean, again, we said I'm a nurse practitioner. Like all of my background is in science and in medicine. And that's what I've been in for almost 10 years now. And so, yeah, I had this random idea. I've never wanted to start a business. I say that. Actually, I had a goal, put it on a wish list like years ago of, it'd be fun one day. Never had any ideas about that, never had any interest in starting anything like that. And randomly driving home after a run one day, and I was like, oh, this would be such a great, that park over there should have a little coffee stand or coffee truck. And I was like, that'd be fun. I was like, I'd love to just invest in something like that. Like, I don't want to do it, but like, it'd be fun to invest in. I think it'd fit me to need, it'd be fun. And
yeah.
So, I just started feeling my heart just started like dreaming about this. It was the weirdest thing in my life. Like I just started having thoughts and dreams about something that I just completely knew, completely outside my box, completely outside anything that I ever saw. Like, and so I just felt like I was like, well, I feel like I feel like I need to like dip my toe in the water and like see if there's anything here and, start kind of pursuing it. And why not? Like, maybe I do it, maybe I don't do it, maybe it's a flop, maybe it's, but it sounds really fun right now. And so I started just thinking about things, pursuing some understanding business a little bit better and entrepreneurship. And I started talking to some people and just kind of would go to a coffee shop and just sit there for a couple hours and like start thinking through and jotting down the ideas and bought some resources that could kind of help with, entrepreneurship, and started, met with a few people to kind of talk through what just helped me think about things that I don't know what to think about,
Yeah.
And, so I spent hours, hundreds of hours probably thinking through some stuff and jotting down papers and putting down, figuring out cost analysis and doing all this stuff that I have no idea what I'm doing, but making it up.
Moving towards a business.
Wow.
Yeah. And it wasn't until then the beginning of 2019. So this was 18 when I was kind of doing all this.
Yeah.
And 2019, so about a year ago, I had started running a good bit and just kind of came to this place of, I started getting to the point where, okay, if I'm going to do this business, I actually need to start putting some money down and start have a goal of I'm going to start by this date and here's what we're doing. And there was just some things that weren't working out that seemed so simple, but yet I just couldn't figure out some like legal stuff and licenses and things like that. That again seems so simple, but at the same time, I kept asking this person, that person, that person, and it just felt like I kept hitting a brick wall. And all at the same time, I started running a whole lot more, and my heart was just like turning on for this like whole long distance running thing. And so I was just realizing like I don't feel like I'm hitting a wall with this business, and I don't know if I'm supposed to just keep pressing in, keep pushing, or if this is something, Lord, you're just saying, hey, like this was fun, this is great. All right, time out on this. And my heart was just full on coming alive with this running thing. And logistically and just from a time standpoint, like I'm working full time. I'm doing school on Mondays and Tuesday nights. Running is extremely time consuming
and starting
a business,
Starting
right? Like
businesses,
literally, like there aren't enough hours in the day.
Sure.
Like I'm, to do all this, I'm going to be sleeping 3 hours a night. Like there's not possible. And so realizing I feel like I just kind of need to pick one or the other. And I actually ended up having to meet with Dan at one point because I was just at this like. I felt wind on this. The Lord was moving on this business thing. And now I feel like I'm like full brakes and my heart really isn't in it anymore, which was weird. Like,
wow.
I think once as I said earlier, like once I say yes, I'm full steam.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if there's a wall, we're going to blast through it. Like my yes is my yes. But I was feeling just like, it feels like, like just nails on a chalkboard, like right now to think about like, sitting down at this used to be so life-giving and now this is not. This is like, I don't want to do this. And all I want to do, I'd so much rather get up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday and go run for 3 hours. Like,
wow,
who is this person?
Yeah.
So, so I just kind of was like navigating all that and had a super helpful conversation with him. And he just gave me permission. He's like, it sounds like you just need permission for your dream to change. And I was like,
wow.
Well, when you put it like that, yes, I do.
Steph, permission for your dream to change.
Yeah.
So the coffee got laid down, the running got picked up.
The running
Let's
is what
talk
got
about
picked up.
running.
Yeah.
This running was started in 2018.
My first ultra was in January 2019, so literally just a year
ago.
Oh, okay. Because
I'd done some running a little bit before that, but
I'm going to give just a little bit of context. I feel like you won't give.
Yeah.
So this,
yeah.
2019. So ultra running is basically running literally 50-mile races, 100-mile races in the mountains. Climbing is involved. People run with poles. Mm-hmm. People run for 30 hours. I mean, it is ultra runners are extreme runners. And Steph picked this up. And not only did she pick this up, she started winning races.
Yeah.
So how many races have you just showed up and won at this point?
I have only won one.
Oh, okay.
I've won one.
I've
placed I've podium on a few.
Okay,
so
I should say place.
3. Yeah.
For a gal that literally started in 2019.
Yes.
Okay, so talk to us for a second about running, and then I want to hear about 2019. At the beginning of 2019, you said that you just knew that this was your year. And I want to hear about that. And then you had some financial stuff that was like, whoa.
Yeah. So running has been an absolute blast. I ran a little bit growing up.
Okay.
Ran high school cross country and did fairly well. Like I was able to win our region a couple times. And but would run for stress relief, run to, just to stay in shape, run. I had a roommate that started running half marathons and I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I did a few of those and never had any interest in doing anything longer than a half marathon, which is 13 miles. I literally came out of my mouth like a marathon. I don't think that's good for your body. Like 26 miles, pounding on your joints, that's not good for your body.
You would know. You're a nurse practitioner, so I mean,
I was like, that's not good. And then, I helped out Dan and Quinn. We're doing their first attempt at a 100-miler. This was October 2018, and so I went with them and ran a section of that with them as a pacer or a safety runner. And that was a 20-mile section. And at that point, literally the longest I'd ever run in my life.
Wow.
Was 20 miles. And it was from like 1 a.m. in the morning to like, we finished at like 7.
What was that like?
It was the most amazing experience I've ever had in my life. Like
So
that.
you loved it
Oh my
right
gosh.
away.
Wow.
It was incredible.
1 a.m. in the morning and you
it was
love it,
crazy.
and you're running
It was
20
absolute
miles.
craziness. But it was that whole weekend was literally the funnest thing I'd done.
Why?
And I can't remember how long. I think it was our group. I mean, just these people that I just so care about so deeply. And, and that you would literally, I'm like, oh yeah, let's go run at 1 a.m. Like I'd totally do that for you.
Yeah. I would
That sounds
totally do
normal.
for
That sounds
you.
normal. And but just the adventure of it and the experience of of coming alongside someone and helping them to achieve a dream that they've had and been working towards, and
Wow.
just being able to be a part of that process is so special. And just the ridiculousness sometimes of it, I think,
Sure.
makes
It's extreme.
makes the adventure of it that much
Yeah.
more amazing. And yeah, so I enjoyed it, and I was like, okay, well maybe I'll dip my toe in the water, and I did. So my first race as an ultra was a 50K, which is a 30-mile race, January 19, and finished that. It was definitely hard and challenging, but pushed myself and was able to. I had trained for it, and then we had signed up for a race in May that was up in North Carolina. That was another 50K. But like 12,000 feet of gain. It was just basically climbing like 3 mountains. This is the one you're signed up for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quest for the crest.
Quest for the crest, yeah.
So excited.
It was most amazing race I'd ever done. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous, but so brutal, really hard. But was able to do that, and then had a race over the summer that I was up in the North Georgia mountains that I was able to place second in, and that was a marathon, like a trail marathon. And then in all this, Dan had been like, "Yeah," he's like, "You should do this 100-miler with us in the fall," and I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that. And he's like, "No, I really think you can do it." And so after a couple of conversations, and I was like, all right, time out. Like, are you serious about this? Do you really think I can do this? He's like, yeah, absolutely. He's like, yeah, you're totally great. You'll be great. I was like, okay, I'm trusting. Like, I'm jumping off the deep end. Like, okay, we'll do this. I have no idea what I'm doing. And so I registered for that. And so then did a 100-mile race in October.
You finished the
Also
100
finished.
miles.
And that's
Yeah,
it.
I was finished.
What in the world?
That's crazy. I was the most amazing, hardest.
Oh. Were you expecting to finish?
I did. I think,
Okay.
I went into it knowing, I really believe I can do this. I really
Wow.
believe I can do this. I have no idea what the experience will be. How, I don't know what those lows feel like. I don't know how to push myself for this long of a period. Because up until then, my longest race had been 12 hours. And so knowing that this race was going to be anywhere from, probably 26 to 30, somewhere in there. I literally I have no grid for this, and I have no idea what this is going to be like. And but I think I can do it. I think if I train the best that I know how to do, and I just keep moving, and I think I can do it. And so I was super happy with being able to finish it. And so did that, and then had a 50-mile race in December that I won. I didn't win that
gosh,
one,
Steph.
which I was pretty stoked about.
Wow.
That was in Pine Mountain, which is like LaGrange
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
And
that's running in 2019.
yeah, that's been running in 2019.
Talk to us about that feeling that you had at the beginning
Mm-hmm.
of 2019 that you just knew.
Yeah. So, sometimes you get a word for a year. You get, you start, dreaming in January. This is super normal. What's this next year going to be, and what are you going to have, and what are we doing? And I just had this overwhelming, burning sense in me that I was just excitement for the year, and I've never had that feeling before about a year. I've never had this just overwhelming excitement about, I don't know what's happening this year, but I know it's going to be really good. Never before. It was a completely foreign feeling. I don't think, I'm not a negative person, but I think I'm a pretty realistic and practical. And I think in terms of practicality, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, this, and this, but, can be really in my head. And this was completely just this gut heart feeling of, I have no idea what's in store for me this year, but
Wow.
but I'm super excited, and had multiple people tell me, you had no idea. I was like, I just think this year's gonna be great for you. Like, I'm just super excited for you this year. And I'm like, I know, I feel it too. So it was super fun. And this was, I hadn't really committed to the running thing. I hadn't, I was just really open to like, all right, I have no idea what's in store for me this year. But, and then just allowing the year to unfold was just an absolute blast, and saying, oh, this is what we were excited about. This is what we were talking about. This is
the racing was part of it.
The running definitely was part of it, and the friendships that I've been able to just deepen over the last year through running, and that just have been so life-giving, and finding people that you run with literally and figuratively, of just the people who believe in you, and champion you, and pull out the best in you.
Wow.
Being able to develop those friendships deeper, and has been so life-giving.
Steph, so just a life-giving year in 2019. Talk to us about your finances.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw this on Facebook, and that's where I was like, that's it. We need to have Steph on the chat.
Yeah. So, so as we said, I'm a nurse practitioner. I went to a private school for grad school, and I felt like the Lord had showed me, I felt like the Lord led me to that school, and again, super practical. This doesn't really make sense, knowing that, oh, good night, I'm having to take out all these loans. And
oh man.
so, I mean, even during school, I was able to, I worked one day a week as a nurse, and was able to literally make just enough to live off of, and by working literally 4 days a month. But
wow,
obviously
that's
having to take it out. It was, the Lord provided. It was amazing. But yeah, I had to take out tons of money for student loans, and in turn, just to cover the cost of tuition and books and stuff. And so when I finished with right at about $100,000 of loans.
Wow.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
American dream.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, Lord, this is something. You told me to do this, and so I felt like I knew I was supposed to be there.
And this was 10 years ago?
I finished in 2011.
Okay.
So 9 years ago. And so all right, let's just start working on these things. And, so it's just been a process over the last 8 years of just being day by little, and growing a lot in the process. There's so many times that I got super frustrated in the process of this. It just felt like I was never making progress. When you look at a huge goal, and you're just, if you look at it on every month when that money gets taken out, that gets taken out to pay the monthly premium, it feels like it never moves. The line is never moving. And
oh, wow.
So it's just one of those things. Every year or so, I would look at it and be like, oh God, how much more? And knowing that, okay, I can't do anything until I can't buy a house, I can't do this, I can't do that, and feeling like I am on a really strict budget, and really having to be tight, and always having to make sure I have roommates and to share living expenses, and just because to make this happen.
Paying off school loans.
Yeah. And so definitely really frustrating at times, and wishing it could go faster, and even just having some times with the Lord of all right, I'm doing all these things to A, B, C, and D. I'm giving, I'm tithing, I'm stewarding this, I'm on a budget, I'm doing all these things that I feel like we talk about, setting my sails, and all right, Lord, I need your wind to blow, and where is it? It feels like I'm stuck in the middle of the ocean, and I am never moving anywhere. And what are we doing? And in having opportunities to hear testimonies from other people that of just breakthrough, and
sure,
blessing, and just got this inheritance, and which is super encouraging, but at the same time, okay, Lord, you forget about me? Why is this such a process? And
sure.
Yeah, and so learning a lot of having the opportunity. I think there's times where God is just He's such a good Father, and He loves absolutely just blessing us with provision, and says, you're my kid, and so you know what? Here's it paid in full, and however that comes. And then there's times where we get to learn through the process, and He's like, yeah, we're going to learn how to walk. We're going to learn how to do this, and we're going to do this together. And I'm with you just as much in this as I am through an instantaneous miracle, or a miracle provision,
So
but we're gonna learn how to, you're gonna get stronger in this. You're gonna learn how to, you're gonna come away from this with skills and understanding and knowing me better than than maybe you could have in another opportunity.
Sure.
If I could do this in a different way. And so just having to be reminded of that sometimes. And so anyways, all that to say, yes, at the end of this year. So actually, I'll back up. And probably April or May, I felt like the Lord had just given me this invitation. He's like, if you really want to get serious about this, like if you really, which I was the whole time, but if we really put like everything towards this, like focus even more intentionality towards this in the next 6 months, I think you can get it done. And I was just like, okay, like, and I even finally said it out loud to a few people of like, this is what I'm going after. And I was able to just like, again, the Lord provided of just, I had extra expenses this year and things that came up, and I really don't know how it all worked out, but it worked out. And so December 31st, literally on the last day of the year, it was so fun. The check had cleared, and I was able to look at my account and see zero balance for my student loans.
You paid off $100,000 in student loans.
Yeah,
And
which
how many? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, probably with interest, it was probably closer to like 120 or 130.
How many years did that take?
I finished in 2011. Probably started repayment in the beginning of 2012. So, and then by the
8
end,
years.
Yeah, right at 8 years.
Steph, congratulations.
That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's why I keep hearing the cheers.
Right? It's been really fun. And I just remember I was sitting at Starbucks on New Year's Eve, like just looking at it, and I was just sitting at Starbucks crying all by myself, of just enjoying this moment with the Lord, of just like, oh, you're so good. And I'm so thankful for the process. Like, I love an instantaneous miracle. Like, and he's so good, and he loves to I think he so loves to delight and give us those. But there's nothing second rate or nothing second.
No.
His goodness is just as much in the process. And just being able to look back and see how much you grew, and see how much, we totally like knowing what priorities are, and knowing how to give out of sacrifice, and knowing that I'm putting off paying off this debt faster because I want to be intentional about giving, and that's a non-negotiable, and just practical stewarding my money, like having a budget and how to stay on that, and how to prioritize stuff, and how to delayed gratification of I'm not doing this right now because I don't have the funds to it, and saying no to things that would be really fun, and it's not fun in the process, but at the same time, like, you're working out a muscle that you get to reap the benefit of, I feel like, and as we continue through life, and just better how to steward what he's given me, and whatever that looks like, and just be able to steward that to the best of my ability.
That's beautiful.
Steph Mattox. Steph Mattox. So 2020, what does it hold? We'll wrap it up with this.
I'm excited. I don't feel like I have a word. Well, anticipation.
Anticipation.
Yeah, I had this picture when I was running on New Year's Day of just kind of seeing the trail, and it kind of curved off to the side and around a corner, and the Lord is like, he's like, I wonder what's around that corner. And I was
nice.
like, I don't know. He's like, do you know what's around that corner? And he's like, well, you can run faster towards it if you want. So,
do you want?
I think so. So, so I'm just really excited. I don't know exactly. I have some goals for continue running. I have some races this year. I'm looking forward to, and kind of continuing to get better at running, and being able to train better and understand how to, a little more of the science and the art behind it. And I'd love, I have some goals financially of just wanting to save some and start hopefully saving for a house, down payment, of paying off. I have a small little loan on my car, hopefully finishing off that. And of just continuing to grow and seeing what's in store. So high anticipation.
Anticipation in 2020.
Yeah. I love that.
Thanks.
It's so good. So, this has just been so great. I really enjoyed this time. Just thanks so much for opening up your heart and sharing with us. You know what? If you're listening, and if any of this is just like pinging with your heart, you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Would you please email us, shoot us a note, bachats@bethelatlanta.com. We would love to hear from you, because at some point we'd love to take all of these, all these emails and your feedback and be able to rebroadcast it, talk about it over there, and maybe some breakthroughs that you've had. So we do want to take some time before we leave. Is we want to give you, Steph, an opportunity to kind of just, if you have a moment, just to release what you feel, if you felt like there's anything in your heart as we've been talking and we've been just sharing, if you feel like there's something that God's speaking to you to release over to our listeners, I would love for you to do that. And then if you're getting a word of knowledge or word of wisdom, prophetic word, we just want you to go for it, because you definitely have permission. So
Thanks.
yeah.
Sure. The first thing I heard was kind of back to the courage thing. And I think it takes a lot of courage to go through the process. It's really scary. It can be really hard. And so I just release courage over anyone and who's in the process. And it can be super scary. It can be it's really hard. The heart process is hard. It is hard. Yeah. It is hard, and the Lord knows that, and He has such compassion in His love, and His kind love that just completely overwhelms you, even when you don't feel it. Like that, just because you don't feel it doesn't mean He's not in the moment, and He's not in the process, and He's not in the pit, what it feels like the pit with you. And so courage just to keep moving, courage to ask the Lord. Ask for big things, ask for breakthrough, and the courage to believe that no matter what the process is, that He's just as good, and believe Him for who He is and His nature that doesn't change, and to believe that what He's building in you is bigger than you can ask or imagine.
It's awesome.
That's a great word.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Good. That is so good.
Oh, my goodness. Stephanie Mattox, thank you so much for being our guest on Bethel Atlanta Chats.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. It's been blessed.
You're a blessing. You're a blessing.
You are a blessing. Yeah. Sure appreciate it. Hey, you guys, thanks for listening. And you remember that Jesus loves you.
And we love you too.